Hi, folks. Welcome. It's Global Tarot Circle. Today is April 17th, 2017. It is 6:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We start at 7. Now, if you happen to be watching this in archive on Facebook or on YouTube later on, feel free to watch it. Feel free to do the exercises and play along. But don't be offended if we don't answer, because at that point we won't be live. So Veronica is the first one here. Glad to see you. And actually, people are coming in pretty quickly, so I'm happy to see that. So as you come in, go ahead. I see Tracy is here. Glad you're here. Go ahead and let me just turn my phone off so I don't get distracted. There we go. Okay. Now, go ahead. Lori's here. Hello, my curly-headed friend. So glad you're here. So go ahead. When you get here, let us know where in the world you are. Hey, Karen, glad you're here. Tanya's here. Oh, this is so great. This is almost as fun as being in person, isn't it? Sabrina's here. Hi, Jerry's here. Oh, okay. We've got Sabrina and Serena. All the good witch names are here. Glad you're here. In fact, Serena gave us one of our ideas for what we're going to be doing today. Oh, and here's Sabrina. Okay, Sabrina is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I know Serena is up in Vermont. So, say where you are in the world, and let us know what deck you're working with. And if you have any burning questions, Irene is here. So glad you're here. And Tracy is here from Two Rocks, Australia, where it's 7 a.m. and it's 7 p.m. here. Lisa's here from Boca, my neighbor in Boca. So glad you're here. Okay. And Karen's going to have us join her for dinner. So I hope your dinner is yummy. And Karen is my friend in Eastern Pennsylvania. So glad you're here. Okay, so here's what we do. A lot of you have been here before. Some of you may be new. Here's what's going to happen over the next hour. For the first half hour or so, we do burning questions. Hey, my friend Jean is here from Lutz. Jean, I saw your awesome video. You were on the uke and doing tiptoe through the tulips. So beautiful. It's so good to see you. And you're only here for a few minutes, but thanks for stopping in. We've got Joanne here from West Palm Beach. That is terrific. Okay, Angie's here, and Lisa is here from Michigan, and she gave us one of our ideas for what we'll be doing today as well. Linda Rogers is here. So glad. Okay, all the way in Liverpool. Very good. So, we start with burning questions. If you have a question, it could be a question about tarot. Maybe a reading that you've done, maybe something you've heard about tarot, you wonder if it's true, maybe a card you don't understand. It could also be a question for a reading, something you'd like to ask a room full of tarot readers. So, if you have a question, something you'd like to know about your own life, and you don't mind asking it here, we'll be happy to read for you. And Veronica has started with a great question. And the thing is, this is not just you asking questions and me giving answers. This is a time for all of us to share. So we use the comments as a chat room, and it's going to go pretty quick. We already have 22 people here. There'll be more coming in. So I'm not going to be able to read aloud each comment. So you guys make sure that you're in the comment thread and interacting with each other and sharing with each other. So let's start with this one. Anyone who has a good idea, and I know there are some pro readers here. Serena Fox, of course, is a pro reader in Vermont. Veronica wants to know, how do I prevent tarot reading burnout? Let's see, Adina is here. And we've got a few questions coming in. Serena wants to know about temperance. And Tanya wants to know about work this week. So we'll take care of all of that. Karen Seeley is here, I think all the way from across the ocean. Shannon is here from Tampa. Okay, so we're going to talk about the temperance card in a few minutes. And Tanya needs a reading for work this week. But let's first start with tarot reader burnout. Have you experienced burnout? What does it feel like? What do you do to prevent it? If you have something to say about it, just write the word burnout first so we know what you're talking about. Burnout, and then go ahead and share your ideas. So, hey, Liz Westwater is here. She's a professional reader. Liz, how do you prevent tarot reader burnout? Okay, so, and this is a fun reading to do, that if you're experiencing burnout, one of the best things to do is to do a reading about it. Maybe ask the question, why am I feeling burned out? And then what can I do about it? But I would argue that 9 times out of 10, burnout comes from an energy issue. Either you're not grounding well enough, you're not shielding well enough, you're not releasing well enough after the reading. You may not be drawing on universal energy enough to give the reading. One of the things I always say is when you're a reader, you shouldn't give anything of yourself to anyone, nor should you take anything from them. You're a straw. You're a conduit. Draw from the earth, draw from heaven, give energy that way, but don't let it be your own energy, and don't take on energy from other people. And that helps. We've got some other stuff here. Create boundaries from Serena. Let's see. Do a reading for yourself. What is it that you need? From Lisa. From Liz, self-care. Absolutely. And we've got a lot of good stuff coming in from Linda, from Tracy. Go ahead and read and see everything we've got going on. The best wisdom here is not what I'm saying. It's what's going on in those comments. So make sure you read them. Julia, so glad you're here. Okay. So there was a request to speak about the Temperance card. So if anyone has anything they'd like to share about Temperance or how you feel about Temperance, go ahead and chat it in. But again, use the word temperance so we know what we're talking about. We know what you're talking about. I'm just looking for my Temperance card right here. I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts about temperance, and I'd like you to do the same. And this is, again, in response to Serena's question. So, for me, I call temperance the cosmic bartender, but do not take that in a disrespectful way. It's actually one of my favorite cards. I also call it the how not to be crazy card. When we look at temperance, we remember that even though we see the angel mixing and it looks like mixing water or a liquid, temperance is related to the element of fire. And what's really going on there is the process of alchemy. There are 3 sort of significant older keywords for temperance: time, art, and alchemy. And so this is a transformative process. When I look at temperance, I see a real process there. I see something happening. There's action. It's blending, it's mixing, it's balancing. It's reminding us that nothing in life is perfect. But if you take a little of this and a little of that and you mix it together, you'll find the perfect blend. Now, the question, of course you knew I would say that because you've studied with me. But the question is, how does temperance read in a reading? There's a real difference between what we know about the cards, what we learn from the cards when we study them as a book of spiritual wisdom, and how they actually operate in a reading. And we know that operationally, really, any card can mean anything in a reading, depending on a bunch of factors, right? What have we seen temperance actually mean in a reading? Angie says, I always see balance. Things are as they should be. It can come up to talk about patience, that you need to be patient. Let's see, Veronica says, temperance is all about the perfect timing of things and patience. All good things happen in all good time. Now, when I call it the how not to be crazy card, I really feel like when you learn the lesson of temperance, things don't bother you anymore because it'll all come together in the right time. It'll all come out in the wash. You just have to blend it together. So there's a real action that happens there. And I think this card can tell us sometimes that we need to integrate. We need to integrate with ourselves. We need to integrate with others. There can be collaboration going on here. Julia says the act of tempering. Hey, my neighbor Joe is here. Nice to see you. So any other thoughts about temperance? I see a lot going on there. Again, make sure you read what's going on in the comments. That's where the wisdom is. Now, let's see. There was, I think, our first request for a reading came from Tanya, and she wants to know about work this week. So, Tanya wants to know how work's going to go for her this week. And if anyone else has a question for a reading or a question about tarot, go ahead and chat it in, and we'll handle as many as we can in these first few minutes of our hour together. So Tanya at work, how do we think Tanya's work week's going to go? If you would like to pull a card for Tanya, this is what you need to do. Put her name, put the name of the card, and then your interpretation. Okay? And Tanya, make sure you read the comments so you can see your reading. Okay, the name of the card, and your interpretation. So, how do I think your week will go this week? Hey, I got the Six of Pentacles reversed. Do not expect people to be helpful. Do not expect people to be particularly charitable. Definitely gird your loins. This could be a difficult week. Don't take things personally, and definitely assume that you're going to have to handle everything. That's the way it shows up for me. Okay. Very good. Hey, Jean, nice to see you. So FPG is going to be in your neck of the woods in a whole different place. Might we see you there? And in fact, all you guys, I noticed, let's see, Marguerite, I think you're here from Sun City. So FPG, Florida Pagan Gathering, the Beltane celebration is not this week, but next week, not tomorrow, but the following Wednesday through Sunday in St. Petersburg. Brand new venue. I'm one of the headliners along with some other really great people. I'm teaching 4 classes, and I will be signing books and doing readings. The cheapest readings you can ever get with me are at FPG. So come see me. Okay, let's see. We've got a few things going on here. Now let's see. Okay, here's Angie's question. Let's do this. I have a personal question, please. I'm making a huge life change and would love to see if you see me opening a wellness center. Angie possibly opening a wellness center. What do you think? Go ahead, pull a card for her. Put her name, the name of the card, and your interpretation. And I see a lot of requests for readings coming in. We'll get to as many as we can. And it's going by pretty quickly. So if I don't see you and you want to repeat it, go ahead. That's fine. And as I said, we'll get to as many as we can in the next 15 to 25 minutes or so. Okay, so for Angie, let's see. And this is Angie wondering about opening a wellness center. If you'd like to read for Angie, give her name, the name of the card, and your interpretation. And we've got people reading for Tanya here. So, and if we're reading for you, go ahead and check the comments. There's a lot going on there. Okay, for Angie, a wellness center, the Fool. It's a great idea. And I just see Irene got the Fool for Angie. And I just saw someone, I don't know who it was, but I just saw got the Star for Angie. So this is looking really kind of good. And I love this method of working together in that we're all just doing one card readings, but it seems to blend together. So there's a lot of support here for Angie's Wellness Center. So how great is that? Okay. I see Allison Spokes is here. Hey, nice to see you. Glad you're here. Okay, let's see. Looking for the next question for Joe. Okay, here's the question for Joe. Please tell me if I should continue my relationship. Do you think it will improve? Okay, folks, if you'd like to read for Joe, just put her name, J-O, the card you got, should she continue her relationship, will it improve, and your interpretation. Okay, for Joe. The King of Swords reversed. Well, I mean, you can continue your relationship with him, but it is not likely to change. It is not likely to improve. It is the way it is. That's the way I see it. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Virginia. Virginia, it seems that my family is at odds with each other and I am so sad. What can I do? Okay, if you'd like to read for Virginia, and there's a lot of readings going on, so make sure you see what's going on. If you'd like to read for Virginia, just put her name, the card you got, and your interpretation. Okay, and Virginia's question once again, it seems that my family is at odds with each other and I am so sad. What can I do? Eight of Swords. Absolutely nothing. There is nothing you can do here. You are not the cause of the problem, neither are you the solution. All you can do is not contribute to it and not let it cause you anxiety. This may not be your responsibility. This may not be yours to fix. Now, that doesn't mean it won't ultimately fix itself, but it does mean you can't let it cause you anxiety. Okay. Hey, Margaret, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name earlier. Make sure you see me and say hello at FPG. Okay. Yeah, Irene, we'd like to see you there. And Jean, I'm sorry your trip to New York got canceled, but would love to see you at FPG. Okay, Linda Rogers, I'd like to ask. My back has been so painful. I am in agony some days, going to the docs to get a referral letter for an x-ray. Can I ask, will it get better for my holiday on the 30th of April? So Linda's going on vacation. She's having a back issue. She's taking care of it medically. Will she get better? Will she get better in time for her vacay? Let's see. And if you'd like to read for Linda, go ahead and put her name. Show us the card you pulled and let us know your interpretation. Page of Wands, I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that the doctors will be able to help you. I'm very hopeful that things may get better on their own and that you will be feeling much better in time for your holiday. Very hopeful. Okay, let's see. And again, if I have missed any questions, go ahead and repost them. I'm trying to get to them as I see. And thank you, everyone. Everyone participating in doing the readings. Okay, Megan, will a child be in my husband and I's future? Not sure if it's a good idea to start trying. So those are really two questions, aren't they? You know, one question is, well, if you try, will you have a child? And the other is now the time? So Megan wants to know about having a baby. If you'd like to read for her, go ahead, say her name, say the name of the card, and then your interpretation. So what can we tell Megan about the possibility of becoming pregnant soon? The Hermit. So the Hermit's an interesting card, not the most sexual card, but it is a 9, and of course human gestation is 9 months. The thing is, you know, I think this goes back to the question of, is now the right time? Because it's a 9, I'm thinking that if you try, you will become pregnant. But is now the right time? I think you and your husband need to do some real soul searching and really think about, you know, is this what you want? The Hermit also tells me that there may be ways that you and your husband are not connecting. I'm not talking about the connection that it actually takes to make a baby. I'm talking about emotional connection, time connection, being on the same page. So there may be a lot that you guys have to discuss first. Okay, so if you have a burning question, go ahead and chat it into the chat room. We will try to get to it. And let's see. We are looking. Okay, Leisha Lucky from Connecticut. So glad to see you. He wants to know if he will find love at last. Anyone who wants to read for Leisha, go ahead and put his name, the name of the card you get, and what your interpretation is. Let's see what we got going on here. Queen of Pentacles. This actually bodes very well, that you might find someone very soon, potentially someone born under an earth sign. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, perhaps. So that actually bodes well. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. Lots of readings going on. Margaret wants to know about her financial issues. Anyone who wants to read for Margaret, just put her name, the card you got, and your interpretation. Okay, for Margaret. Will Margaret's financial issues get better? The Eight of Pentacles reversed. You have to do something. This is not necessarily something that will improve on its own. You may have to learn something, work at something, do something to make it happen so that you can create the money that you're looking for. And what I just did there, here's a teachable moment, was a little bit of tarot magic where I didn't like the reversal there, so I turned it around to open up that energy for you. Okay. Hey, Kai Elliott, so nice to see you here. Oh, interesting question. Kai wants to know how she can get respect from her family. Anyone who wants to read for Kai, go ahead, put her name, Kai, K-A-I, the name of the card that you get, and your interpretation. What does Kai need to do? Can Kai do something? What does Kai need to do to get respect from her family? So this is interesting. And you know, this is the kind of question that I'd really like to do a whole spread on. Now, of course, as a group across the world, we're here from England, Australia, the United States, all over the place, doing a great big spread. So this is just one card in it, but the tarot reader in me wants to pull a lot of cards on this because family dynamics is like my favorite thing. But how will I interpret this one card for Kai? So the Nine of Cups traditionally is the wish card, which suggests that yes, your wish will be fulfilled, that you will receive more respect, be treated with more respect. It may be telling you that your family already respects you, they just don't know how to treat you with respect. The other thing this card can say is that it might be a good idea for you to act the way you would act if your family were treating you the way you wanted to be treated. Act that way, nurture yourself as if that were the energy surrounding you, and see what happens. Okay. And remember, if you're reading for someone, to put their name so we know who you're talking to. Okay. Lots of readings here. Let's see what we got going on. Looking for questions. Let's see. Okay, from Adina, my friend in Rhode Island. So glad you're here. Feeling very frustrated. No, wait a minute. Adina, are you in Rhode Island? Yeah, I think you are. Feeling very frustrated, hitting a brick wall. Feeling a bit hopeless, like there isn't any help, so why even try? As far as my medical difficulties in the VA, wondering if the VA will find a way to fix me and find a way to alleviate my pain, and if they will raise my compensation to help with my kiddos and my quality of life. I just feel so defeated. Okay, so Adina is a veteran. She has pain issues because of that and is looking for some help here. So first of all, thank you for your service. And anyone who wants to read for Adina, hey, Joanne Matthew is here. I didn't see you earlier. And it just doesn't feel right, Joanne, if you're not here. Joanne, my good friend from Connecticut. Now I feel better you're here. Yay. I didn't get to see you on my last trip to Connecticut either. So hopefully I will on this next trip. Okay, we're reading for Adina. Anyone who wants to read for Adina, write her name, the name of the card you get for her, and your interpretation. Okay. Well, the Chariot reversed really does describe what you're feeling. The sense of hitting the brick wall, the sense of being in pain and not being able to move forward. So let's all breathe together and turn this card right side up to bring in that energy of motion. We need to see this moving forward. I believe that it can, I believe that it will, but I do recognize that this frustration is a serious thing, and it's understandable that you would be frustrated. But do not let your frustration get the best of you. That will only make it worse. Okay, and we see more cards coming in for you. Okay, let's see. Irene, hey, Irene wants to know if she's going to receive a job offer. And hey, my friend Tasha Lee is here. Glad you're here. If you want to know about Tasha Lee, you can read about her in my book, Fortune Stellar. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Irene wants to know if she will receive a job offer this week. If you would like to read for Irene, go ahead and put her name, the card you get, and the answer that you get. Your interpretation. Okay. Okay, Irene, I got the Ace of Cups reversed, so it's possible that it may not happen as quickly as you would like. Again, we're going to do some reversal magic to try to bring that energy in. Let's all breathe together and turn this card right side up to open up that ace energy of new opportunity for Irene. And if you'd like to read for Irene, go ahead and put her name down, the name of the card you got, and your interpretation. Hey, Tabitha Dial, nice to see you. Tabitha's going to have a book coming out soon. And you know what, you guys, we have a lot of pros here. And this is not just about promoting me, although, hey, you know, I'm happy to promote myself. This is a time for all of us to do some shameless self-promotion. So while we're here, right now or toward the end, whenever you like, go ahead and drop a link if you like, a link to your business site, your Facebook site, information about what you got going on. We have a lot of great pros here. Go ahead and let the word be known about who you are and what you're doing. Okay. Oh, we've got a reading for the person who is looking for a baby from Joanne. Let's see. Okay, looking for other readings. Okay. Okay, so readings are happening. I am not seeing other questions. Oh, here's a question. And this is such an interesting question from Monica. Hey, my friend from Connecticut. It was so nice to see you, Monica, during my last trip, and I was so happy you came to my class about magic with cards and candles. That was so much fun, wasn't it? Okay. And then we have a question from Jerry. So we're going to do Monica's question and then Jerry's question. Monica, her question is, how do you know when it's time to move on to a different job? But you know, that's going to be a different answer for every person. The real question is it time for Monica to get a new job? So everyone, if you'd like to do a reading for Monica, go ahead and put her name, Monica, the name of the card you get, and your answer. Is it time for Monica to look for a new job? Yes. 3 of Cups. Absolutely. Why the heck not? Yes. Okay. Now, Jerry. Hey, Jerry. Jerry wants to know, is there a new relationship for her in the near future? It's the classic question for tarot. A new relationship for Jerry. So if you'd like to read for Jerry, and I just saw Shannon coming in with, am I ready to read for people professionally? I definitely want to do that one. So we will handle that. And first, let's see. We are doing Jerry, and her love life. So if you want to read on Jerry's love life, is there a new relationship coming for Jerry soon? Just go ahead and put her name in, Geri, the card you got, and the relationship. What do we see? 4 of Pentacles for you, Jerry. So here's the thing. It could be that in the past you have accepted relationships with people who didn't treat you right or who weren't good for you. You may need to focus right now on your own self-care. That's not to say that there won't be a relationship soon, but it is to say that from my perspective right now, an important relationship in your life is your relationship with yourself. To take good care of yourself and to make sure that you will not accept anything less than what you deserve. Okay, now, who was the person? Shannon. Is Shannon ready to read for people professionally? And so there's 2 ways we can go about this. I think we should do the reading. You know, my book, Fortune Stellar, shameless plug, one of the things I say about that is we as tarot readers need to turn to tarot to help us in our business. That this is a great tool not just to read for other people, but to read for ourselves to help us figure it out. So it's a great thing to read on. But there's also, you know, things you can look at, like how do you know when a reader's ready to read professionally? And I would argue it's when people are reaching out to you a lot for readings and want to offer you compensation. But, you know, it was when people are showing up at my door with plates of cookies that I knew. But let's take a look. Is Shannon ready to read professionally? If you'd like to read for Shannon, go ahead, put her name, Shannon, the card you got, and your interpretation. The 6 of Pentacles reversed. So this is an interesting card. It makes me wonder not about your skill as a reader, but whether you're comfortable asking for money. You know, one thing, when you do anything professionally, you have to be able to ask for your money. So I would say you'll be ready to read professionally when you're ready to ask for your money. Okay. Now let's see. Let's see. Okay. I am not seeing other questions right now. So, and it's 7:32. So, some readings are still happening. Here's one. We'll go ahead and do it. Let's see for Kristen. Hi, Kristen. Kristen needs to jumpstart her spiritual practice. How can she best approach this? This may be our last reading. We'll see. So if you'd like to read for Kristen, what can she do to jumpstart her spiritual practice? Oh, okay. And we'll do Tasha Lee too. These will be our last 2, I think. Okay. So Kristen's spiritual practice. If you want to read for Kristen, her name, the card, what can she do? Interesting. 6 of Swords. Your spiritual practice needs to help you get through a difficult time. And you know, the funny thing about faith is when we need it most, it's hardest to have. Often we get away from our spiritual practice when we need it most. So you're right to jumpstart it. You know, Aleister Crowley called this the card of science. And that says to me that you may need to learn something new, to study something new. It may be a new tool. It may be a new book. It may be a new technique, but you need to learn something new that will excite you. Okay, Tasha. Tasha wants to know, what will be the outcome of the course I'm taking career-wise, please? The outcome of where she's going career-wise. What can you tell Tasha about her career? And if you'd like to read for Tasha, go ahead and say her name, the card you get, and your interpretation. Okay, so for Tasha, when I look at your career, Tasha, here we go. This is beautiful. 8 of Pentacles. You are learning, perhaps you are teaching, you are building. It will take time, but you will learn, you will grow. It's a good path. Okay. All right. So, our list of things that we are going to talk about Where shall we start? We have a few. And okay, one of the questions that came up, and for those of you who don't know about this, oh, Julia has a question. Okay, Julia, we'll do you. I can't not do Julia. She sends me presents all the time. And that's, if you want readings, just send presents. Seriously, Julia makes beautiful, beautiful stuff. Julia wants to know if she'll be able to get a full-time teaching job for the new school year. So, if you would like to read for Julia, put her name, put the name of the card, and what you think. So for Julia, a full-time teaching job this school year, temperance reversed. You may have to hustle to make it happen. It's possible, but it may take some hustle, and I am turning this card right side up to help bring that energy to you. Okay, so one of the questions that came up, and if you're not a member of our Facebook group, the group is Global Tarot Circle. We don't meet there. We meet on my business page because, it is shameless self-promotion. Let's be real. But we have this Facebook group where we can talk between our meetings. We meet once a month. We can do exercises there. And I always ask for, hey, what do you want to learn? And so today, what came up from Lisa, I believe it was Lisa, was about significators, the use of significators. And when she asked, she was talking about that old-fashioned style of finding a court card that represents your client, either based on their appearance or what you know about them or astrology, and putting that out in the beginning of the reading. And it's just funny. I was writing about this today for my next book coming out. And I was just saying that I don't know a lot of readers who actually use this method. So if you're here and you use this method of choosing a card, not at random, but, from the deck, possibly a court card to represent your querent, and starting the reading by placing that on the table. Does it work for you? Does it bring the energy to the reading? What do you think about it? Is this a technique? It's not one I use. And as I said, I don't really know anyone who uses this technique. So go ahead and chat in and tell me about this. Serena says you do sometimes. Serena, tell us, how does it help? How does it work? What do you think about it? Why would you advocate doing this? Now, and anyone else, if you do this, tell us, why would you advocate this? Why does this work? Jean says she does it occasionally. Jean is also a great pro reader. So again, tell us. Linda says she's never done it. So go ahead. Why do you do it? How does it work? Okay, Serena says it is, but I believe it can cue things a bit. Maybe skew things a bit. Karen Seeley, another pro reader, does. Okay, tell us why, and when you do it sometimes, what would be a sometimes when you would do it or a sometimes when you wouldn't? So while people are chatting that in, I want to talk a little bit about other ways that we use the word significator and other ways we can work with significators. Now, for me, I use a spread that has a significator position. So the first card that I pull at random is who my client is at this current moment. And I really love that. I love pulling it at random, and I think it's a great exercise. So while the people who use this style are telling us about it, Jean says it narrows down. I don't think I know what that means, but go ahead and keep sharing how it works or whatever. And let's do this exercise. Everyone gets to do a one card reading. Go ahead and shuffle. And the question is, who am I at this current time? And go ahead and pull the card and chat in with the card you got and what it means to you. Okay, so Tracy says, I've never chosen a court card or any card to represent my client. Why? Because I feel it restricts the reading, as that particular card could be vital in another position. I can always tell when the card in a spread represents the client. The only time I use one is in the Lenormand or Kipper, which is what Jean was saying too, that it's a Lenormand thing. Oh, Lisa's here. You had me at A-holes, and we haven't talked about the A-holes yet. And Lisa, you sent me such a nice email the other day, and I haven't responded yet because I'm crazy busy. But thank you so much. It was so great to see you the other day. Okay. So, and now this brings up what Tracy had to say, brings up the other thing that Lisa said when she asked the question is she sometimes uses multiple decks where she will choose that court card from one deck, but then do the reading with another deck so that card is still in play, which I think is brilliant and kind of addresses Tracy's concern. Okay. Okay, and here's Joe from New York City. And, okay, Kai says she does it sometimes. It helps to see how the significator card interacts with the other cards. Oh, brilliant. So the card that you cognitively choose to signify the querent is going to interact with the other cards. And to see how that works is significant. Thank you. Where does it face? Oh, especially when reading relationship readings. That is beautiful. Okay, so Karen says, sometimes when reading for self to focus on a particular aspect of life. So for mundane career, I use the Knight of Pentacles. So it's a way of really calling in and focusing on the question. That's a beautiful thing. In a way, that really is tarot magic. Okay, so yes, we're getting to the A-holes. We'll be getting to the A-holes in just a moment. So let's all do this exercise. I see some people are doing it already. Who am I at this current moment? I am justice reversed. So does that mean that I'm feeling screwed over? Yeah, I paid my taxes today. I am feeling effing screwed over. I work really, really, really hard. And the government is taking all of my money, and I'm not happy with the government today. So yes, justice reversed, it absolutely fits for me today. So have some fun with that and, share in the chat room and share with each other. And so the multiple deck thing, I really like the idea. If you're going to do the significator, by choosing the court card that fits with the client, if you want to use a multiple deck, a second deck, so that that card is still in play, that works great. That's a great idea. I like the idea of multiple decks in general, by the way. It does take some concentration. It's not for every reading. But I think, the idea of using more than one deck, you can have a lot of fun with it. And if you have experiences using more than one deck, go ahead, chat in, let us know. Does that work for you? Does that not work for you? Okay. So now let's talk about the A-holes. And this came from Serena Fox. Well, I called it the A-holes. She was much nicer about it. As usual. I'm definitely the Scorpio in the group here. Okay. So, and we're getting a lot of love for the multiple decks here. Okay. So what Serena asked is, can we talk about the shadow side of court cards? That's what she asked. And I said, oh, you mean how A-holes show up in readings? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, and also, A-holes sometimes show up with other cards too. We think of the court cards as people, but there are other cards that can show up as people too. And so for the next few minutes, let's talk about, Joe's a Scorpio too. Hey, yeah, that's a good thing. So let's talk about just not nice. And okay, I'm not judging who's a good person, who's a bad person, who's a nice person, who's not a nice person. But we all know that when you're reading for someone or when you're reading for yourself, there are problem people. The problem person for one person could be a perfectly nice person for someone else. This is not about judging who a person is, but about judging who a person is in a reading in a particular situation. Okay? So we're calling them A-holes, but the disclaimer is these people really may not be A-holes in any other situation. And let's face it, we are all someone's A-hole, right? Every single one of us here is someone's A-hole. Gotta be. All right. So that said, I would like you to chat in any situations where a-holes have shown up in the cards and how they've shown up. And I'm going to share with you my technique for finding the a-holes. And here it is. See, I work with reversed cards. So my take is this. When the court cards are people, and they're not always, but when they are, when they show up upright, each court card that shows up upright is bringing the best expression of its rank and suit. When court cards show up reversed, they are bringing the worst expression of their rank and suit. Now, we have a few things here. Okay, Tasha, the sun showing up as ego, narcissism. Yes. The emperor as being controlling and bullying. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. And we've got some other readings. Julia is suggesting we should practice using multiple decks. You know, there's so much love for that here right now. Would you remind me before our next meeting that we want to maybe bring more than one deck to our next meeting and do some actual practice work with multiple decks? I'll have to think about how that will work in this format. But let's do it. And Julia, you're responsible for reminding me because I'm a great psychic, but I have a lousy memory. So there's that. Okay. So I appreciate everyone's readings going on here. So let's talk about, and I appreciate the, and Angie is a Scorpio. See, lots of Scorpio love going on. I appreciate people sharing some of their a-hole cards. I sometimes see the Hierophant as a bigot, a know-it-all. The Magician reversed can sometimes be a closed-minded person. So let's see, Tracy. What did Tracy just say here? This was funny. It's the first cards my eyes are drawn to when an a-hole turns up. The most ones turn up are the Emperor, the Queen of Swords, and the King. I'm not sure which king. Tasha says the Nine of Cups is sometimes greedy. Sure. And of course, the Four of Pentacles can be greedy as well. The Seven of Wands can be defensive. And so this is bringing in an interesting thing, that it's not just the cards that typically mean people. I don't mean mean people. I mean, there's two, because we're talking about a-holes, so that could be mean people, but you know what I mean. So not just cards that typically signify people, but cards that talk about attitudes. So the Four of Pentacles as a miser or a selfish person. The Seven of Wands is someone who's acting defensively. So let's see. Here we go from Kai. A-holes. The devil, gossip, evil eye, manipulation, Seven of Wands, fighting against the person. Okay. And from Tracy, the King of Swords. So your King of Swords is an a-hole. That's interesting. And see, so for me, like my King and Queen of Swords upright are decent people. But when they're reversed, that's when I start to see the a-hole characteristics. And so, the next question is, when someone shows up as an a-hole, and here's one. Empress reversed when your mother is an a-hole. And now, how do you deal with that? When you're looking at a client and you see the Empress reversed, and maybe the Queen of Swords is there too, maybe she's reversed, and you think, man, this person really has an issue with her mother, and her mother's a problem. But does she know her mother's the problem? Is she going to be offended if you say that? How do you handle it? Okay. So Linda says, I sometimes use their shadows when I read in combos. So this brings in a good thing, combinations of cards to talk about personalities or when someone is acting like an a-hole. The King of Wands and the Devil or the Emperor. Magician, very controlling, a liar, a player. Okay. And Kai says devil can also be an actual abuse. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So now let's come at it another way. What if you have a person in your life who, from your estimation, is being a jerk. So play along. I want everyone to think about this. Joanne has something to say here about the hanged man. Hang on, I wanted to see this. The hanged man could also be one because he's so wishy-washy he can't always make up his mind. Oh, and this is a good answer. When there's someone that you as a reader perceive as being an a-hole, but you don't want to insult someone, this is what Tracy says. I love this. I say, I see that someone close to you may be causing problems. Does this ring true to you? Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Ace of Wands could be harsh in expression. That's from Tasha. Love it. Love it. Okay. So I want you to think about someone in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that you think is an a-hole. It could just be someone who's causing problems because they're going through problems. But someone in your life who's a problem person. Oh, and I want to put a nail in that for a minute. Because one thing I've noticed in my own readings, and this may be true in yours as well, that it is very hard on the outset to tell the difference between a person who's a jerk and a person who's going through a hard time. So very often, you know, a card may read as an a-hole, but it may actually be a perfectly nice person who's sick, you know, or who's having a hard time. And so I have learned to sort of backpedal and not say, oh man, who's this real a-hole showing up here? Well, sometimes I will say that. But very often it's better for me if I don't. And I say, you know, is there a person that you're upset with or concerned about? A person causing concern in your life? Right. And I'm getting some love from the professional readers here about that. Yes. Yes. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You can see upset about the person, but you don't know if the person's being a jerk or if there's upset about the person because they're going through a difficult time in life. And the last thing you want to do is say, oh my God, who's this asshole? Sorry. Who's this a-hole here? And it turns out it's their best friend with cancer. You know, that a reading would just go south really bad at that point. And a question about private readings. Do I do private readings? Yes. Shameless self-promotion. Actually, probably half the people here do private readings and are great readers, and we would all love to help you. So feel free to reach out to any one of us. Okay. So let's do this exercise. I want you to think about someone in your life. And in this case, I don't want it to be someone who is having a problem. I want it to be someone who is a problem. Someone who is an a-hole, or at least your experience of them right now is that they are acting like an a-hole. I want you to think about this person. Now, you may not want to share a lot of information here because it may be someone that's going to read this. So, you know, be circumspect about it. You know, we don't want to insult anyone publicly. But think about this person. It might be an ex. It might be a coworker. It might be a family member. It might be a friend who's not so much of a friend right now. It might be a business competitor. Think about this person and pull a card to say, what do I need to know about this person right now? What do I need to know about this person that I'm experiencing as an a-hole? Page of Wands reversed. I won't tell you who the person is, but I promise you it's none of you. This person is really immature. This person does not have the skill to live life and act the way I think this person should act. And so I need to be aware that this person probably really isn't an a-hole, but is just without skill, is just immature. And now remember at the beginning of this, I was saying that I use reversed court cards to show the a-holes, and indeed a reversed court card. But for me, the Page of Wands is not an intentional a-hole. The Page of Wands is immature, and that's what we're dealing with. And I think very often what we discover, and this is a way that tarot, you know, We all know this. Tarot isn't just for fortune telling. Tarot is also for this process of spiritual growth where I can be really pissed off at someone and say, man, that person's an a-hole. But I can do a reading and realize that person, just like the rest of us, is doing the best they can. Now, is that always going to be true? No. Sometimes there are real a-holes in the world, but a lot of times that'll be true. Okay. Oh, here's an interesting question from Shannon. Does anyone want to jump in on this? I'm thinking about you, Jean Cetera. Reading tarot and Lenormand together. Okay. And we are in our last 6 minutes. So we've got a lot of interesting stuff coming through on this a-hole exercise. And there's another question you can ask. When a person is driving you nuts, you can ask, how can I protect myself from this person? Or what do I need to do in dealing with this person? Or sometimes, how can I help this person? You know, and it's hard because there are people who become toxic to us. There are people we need to be able to stay away from. There are people we need to just tolerate. And there are people that we need to help. And sometimes it's hard to figure out which. So here's an example from Tracy. My ex-husband, 6 of Swords. Hang on, just jumped away. Let me find it here. Okay, my ex-husband, 6 of Swords. I think it was because he couldn't deal with past hurts in his family. My now husband has the same upbringing, but is a completely different person. And their birthdays are the day after each other in December. That's so funny. Oh, here we go from Serena. Definitely read both tarot and Lenormand together. They work really well. Anything you want to share about that, go ahead. And Allison Spokes is sharing something about that. Kelly from Truth and Story has a great spread using tarot, Lenormand, and Oracle in one. Oh my goodness, how cool is that? So there is a lot of great information out there, isn't there? Okay, so we are coming to the end of our time together. I want to thank all of you for being here. And I want to remind those of you who are watching in archive here on Facebook or YouTube, that this is being recorded on April 17th, 2017, from 7 p.m. Eastern Time to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If that's not the time it is, then we're not live, but thanks for being with us anyway. And this is our final call for shameless self-promotion. I'm going to do my shameless self-promotion verbally. Go ahead and drop your links here. Would you like to share a blog post? Would you like to share your website? Would you like to share a book you've written? Go ahead. I want to let you know that my book, the second edition of Fortune Stellar, What Every Professional Tarot Reader Needs to Know, is available right now on Amazon worldwide for your Kindle or in paperback. I also want to let you know that I am available for private readings by phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger, or right here in my Palm City, Florida office. I also want to let you know that I do travel to Connecticut, New York City, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. I'll be there in June 1st through the 13th. And would love to see you. I do private readings in Madison, Connecticut. I also do house calls, house parties. Would love to see you. What else can I tell you? Oh, I do mentoring. If you would like to take your professional or personal tarot practice to the next level, you can work with me. And again, we can do that by phone, Skype, FaceTime, Messenger, or in person. And I do have a special mentoring package. So reach out to me. I will look forward to seeing you. We do this once a month. And if you're not on our Global Tarot Circle Facebook page, please ask to join. That way you will never miss a meeting and you can keep in touch with people between our sessions. Our sessions are scheduled at my convenience. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It usually happens at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on a weekday, but that's pretty much what I can tell you, and it's once a month. So keep your eye out. And I want to thank you all so much for being here. Again, a shameless plug for Florida Pagan Gathering starting next Wednesday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. Hope to see all of you there that happen to be in the area. And thank you all so much for being here with me tonight. Your tarot friends are your best friends, and I really appreciate you. Have a great evening. Thanks so much.